Hey, magandang buhay! So, dito sa video na to, i-discuss ko yung continuity on functions, okay? So, madali yung topic na to as long as master mo yung limits of a functions, okay? Ready ka na? Great! So, let us start the discussion with this function. F of x is equal to the quantity of 2x plus 3 times the quantity of x minus 1 over x minus 1. Let us try to graph this function, and kapag ka na-graph natin yung function na yan yung lilitaw. So kung mapapansin nyo, if we're going to use a pen tracing this graph, mag-start tayo banda rito. Tuloy-tuloy lang yan, continuous lang yan. Hanggang sa ma-reach natin yung part ng graph na to na kung saan x is equal to 1. So in that case, ililift natin yung pen para ma-continue natin yung graph na yon. So kung mapapansin nyo, open yung graph natin dito. Ibig sabihin, nagkaroon tayo ng discontinuity. Ngayon, Sir Ben, sabi mo yung topic is about continuity on functions. Tama ka. So, paano nga ba magiging continuous ang isang function? So, keep this in mind na meron tayong tatlong kailangan tandaan para ang isang function maging continuous. Okay? So, ito yung tatlong condition. First, kailangan f of a will exist. So again, yung doon sa limit, yung x approaches to a, di ba? Limit of f of x as x approaches to a. So, kapag ka sinubstitute natin yung values ng x doon sa function na yun by a, kailangan mag-exist siya. Pangalawang condition, kailangan yung mismong limit ng f of x as x approaches to a, mag-exist din. So again, paano nga ba nag-exist yung limit ng isang function? Yung limit ng function na yon as x approaches to the left of a, kailangan maging equal siya doon sa limit of f of x as x approaches to the right of a. Kailangan mag-exist yon. And then yung third condition natin is that kailangan yung first condition mo equal siya sa second condition mo. Okay? Now, proceed tayo dito sa graph. Kung mapapansin nyo, dito sa graph na to, hindi siya continuous. Okay? So, nagkaroon tayo ng tatlong discontinuity dito. So, let us try to analyze ano yung mga reason bakit nagkaroon tayo ng discontinuity. First, if a is equal to 1, dito siya. Okay? So, bakit nagkaroon tayo ng discontinuity dito? Simply because yung first condition natin, f of a does not exist. Okay? Kaya nga naka-open yung dito. Naka-open yung graph natin dito. Susunod naman, nagkaroon tayo ng discontinuity dito. Wherein a is equal to 3. Bakit kaya? First condition, okay naman siya. F of 3 exists. So, ito siya. Naka-close siya dito. So, ibig sabihin, merong value yung f of 3 natin. Yun nga lang kasi, yung limit ng function as x approaches to 3, hindi siya nag-exist. Bakit? Doon sa left ng 3, papunta siya dito. Pero doon naman sa right ng 3, dito siya papunta. Hindi parehas yung left at saka yung right. So, ibig sabihin, the limit does not exist. Okay? Third one. Kung titignan natin dito, a is equal to 5, mayroon din tayong discontinuity dito. Bakit? Yung first condition natin, naka-define naman siya. Okay? Ito siya. F of 5, may value tayo doon. No? Yung limit naman ng f of x as x approaches to 5, nag-exist din. Bakit? Kung titignan natin dito sa graph, from the left of 5, may pupuntahan siya. From the right of 5, same din yung pupuntahan. So, ibig sabihin, yung limit ng f of x as x approaches to 5, nag-exist din. Sir Ben, bakit may discontinuity dito? Yung third condition natin na kung saan yung f of 5 hindi siya equal sa limit ng f of x as x approaches to 5. Okay? Next tayo. So, where are each of the given function discontinuous? So, given naman yung functions natin dito, i-identify natin saan sila magiging discontinuous. Okay? So, I'm going to give the answer then explain bakit yun yung sagot. So, sa una, f of x is equal to x squared minus x minus 2 all over x minus 2. Magiging discontinuous yan sa 2. Sir Ben, bakit? Kung mapapansin natin, this is a rational function. Yung rational function natin magiging undefined if x is equal to 2 based dito sa denominator natin. Again, tinamaan natin doon yung first condition na kung saan dapat yung f of a must exist. So dito, sa 2, if x is equal to 2 or if a is equal to 2, therefore, yung f of a natin will not exist. Okay? Next, sa pangalawa naman, piecewise function tayo, f of x. yung function natin is 1 over x squared if x is not 0. And yung function natin is equal to 1 if x is 0. Magkakaroon tayo ng discontinuity sa 0 if a is 0. Bakit? F of 0, nakadefine yan. If x is 0, therefore, 1 yung value ng f of x natin. Ngayon, kung kukunin naman natin yung limit ng f of x as x approaches to 0, ang focus natin dito, yung unang function natin. Yun nga lang kasi, undefined siya. Okay? So, di ba nga, kung na-discuss natin, kapag kinukuha yung limits, pwede natin gamitin yung limit of f of x as x approaches to a is equivalent to f of a. Kung papalitan natin or substitute natin yung x ng 0 dito, that will be 1 over 0, so that is undefined. So, ibig sabihin, hindi nag-exist yung ating limit. So, ibig sabihin, sa 0 tayo nagkakaroon ng discontinuity. Sa last example natin, dito sa baba, okay, so magkakaroon tayo ng discontinuity sa 2 ulit. Sir Ben, bakit sa 2? First, f of 2, nakadefine siya. If x is equal to 2, therefore, yung function natin equal sa 1. Hindi okay siya. Kung kukunin naman natin yung limit ng function na to, na kung saan the limit of f of x as x approaches to 2, dito ang focus natin, pwede natin i-cancel out yung x minus 2 kasi factorable naman yung numerator natin. So in that case, kapag kukunin natin yung, i-factor out natin, mag-factoring tayo dito. So this will be x minus 2 times x plus 1. Okay, so makakancel na yung x minus 2. So x plus 1 na lang itong function na to. So x plus 1, so substitute yung x ng 2, so that would be 3. So yung limit ng function natin as x approaches to 2 is 3. Yun nga lang, pagdating sa third, doon sa third condition, doon na bumagsak yung mismong function na to. Bakit? Yung first condition, yung value ng f of 2 is 1. Doon naman sa second condition, yung limit ng function as x approaches to 2 is 3. In that case, hindi sila equal, therefore, magkakaroon tayo ng discontinuity sa 2. Next tayo. Determine if f of x is equal to the square root of x minus 1 over x plus 1 is continuous at x is equal to 1. Again, i-identify natin kung magiging continuous ba yung function na to if yung x natin is equal sa 1. Again, free condition, kailangan yung f of 1 nag-exist, yung limit ng f of x as x approaches to 1 nag-exist din, and then yung first two condition, kailangan equal sila. Okay, proceed tayo. F of 1 is 0, definitely. Sir, bakit? So, substitute natin yung x dito. So, this will become 0. Yung sa baba naman, 2. So, 0 over 2, that is 0. Second condition, yes, the limit is equal to 0. Sir Ben, bakit? Yung denominator natin, hindi naman siya undefined. So, we can use or we can just simply substitute the value of x by 1. Doing that, so we will still get 0. And sa third condition natin, yung first condition at saka yung second condition, naging equal. So, therefore, yung function natin is continuous at 1. So, sana nakakasunod tayo ha. Next example tayo. So, continuity on an interval. So, yung unang discussion, yung unang part is continuity on a point. Dito naman, continuity on an interval. Okay? So, let me read this definition. A function f is continuous to the right at a number a if the limit of f of x as x approaches to the right of a is equivalent to f of a. Ibig sabihin lang nito, yung continuous, yung limit ng function natin as x approaches to the right of a, magiging continuous lang siya kapag yun ay equal sa f of a. Okay, so again, continuous to the right at a number a, kung saan yung limit ng f of x as x approaches to the right of a must be equal to f of a. So, kumbaga, wala namang pinagkaiba dun sa unang definition ng continuity on a certain point. Okay, parehas lang sila. So, again, nag-exist yung first condition. Ito yung first condition. Ito yung second condition. And then yung third condition, kailangan equal. Same lang siya dito. F is also continuous from the left of a. Okay, from the left at a if the limit of f of x as x approaches to the left of a is equivalent to f of a. So again, ang nagbago lang dito, nagkaroon tayo ng one-sided part. Okay? So nagkaroon tayo ng limit do sa right ng a, saka limit as x approaches do sa left ng a. Pero again, yung conditions still, yung tatlo pa rin. So, this one, keep this one in mind. So, napaka-importante na to. So, the continuity of a polynomial, absolute value, rational, and square root functions. Ito let me read them one by one. Sa una, polynomial functions are continuous everywhere. Okay? The absolute value function, f of x is equal to the absolute value of x is continuous everywhere. The rational functions are continuous on their respective domains. And the square root function, f of x is equal to the square root of x is continuous on 0 up to positive infinity. So, analyzing this one, ito yung binasa ko kanina, analyzing that one, yung continuity ng function, any of those function, polynomial man yan, absolute value man yan, rational function man yan, or square root function man yan, yung continuity nila sa kanilang respective domains. Okay? So, let's have some examples. Show that the function f of x is equal to 1 minus the square root of 1 minus x squared is continuous in the interval of -1 and 1. So, paano natin malalaman kung continuous to sa given interval? So, ang gagawin natin dito is, kukunin natin yung limit ng mismong function na yan as x approaches to the right of -1 at saka kukunin rin natin yung limit of that function as x approaches to the left of 1. So, kumbaga, nandito yung, nandito yung -1, nandito yung 1. So, kukunin natin yung sa gitna nila. Okay? So, paano yung solution natin dyan? So, kagaya ng sinabi ko kanina, i-compare natin. Sir Ben, saan mo nang galing yan? Eto, dito siya nang galing. Eto siya. Okay? So, ito yung una kong papakita, tapos ito yung pangalawa kong papakita. Okay? So, dito nyan, ayan siya. So, the limit of 1 minus the square root of 1 minus x squared as x approaches to the right of -1 is equal to, is it equal to f of -1 at saka yung the limit of that function as x approaches to the left of 1, is it equal to f of 1? So, kung gagamitan mo to ng table, or gagamit ka ng graph dito, you will notice that yung limit, it will approach to +1. Ayan siya. Same thing dito. If i-graph mo to, okay, using Desmos or GeoGebra, or pwede ka rin gumamit ng table, okay? So, you will observe that yung limit na to, mag-approach din siya sa 1. Okay? So, since equal yung nandun sa right side ng -1, equal din siya doon sa left side ng -1, we can say that f is continuous from the right at -1 and continuous at the left of +1. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, continuous yung function natin doon sa interval ng -1 hanggang 1. Next tayo, determine the largest interval over which the function f of x is equal to the square root of x minus 2 is continuous. So, ano ibig sabihin nito? Yung function na to, hanapin natin yung pinakamalaking agwat, the largest interval na kung saan yung mismong function ay continuous. Okay. Ngayon, balikan natin yung pinakita ko kanina. So, di ba sinabi ko kanina dyan na yung continuity ng any of those four function, didepende lang yan sa mismong domain. Given dito, yung function natin is, eto, di ba? Ito isang example ng square root function. So, ibig sabihin, ang kukunin lang natin is, ano ba yung domain na to? So, again, kapag kinukuha natin yung domain ng square root function, kailangan, yung nasa loob, yung x minus 2, it should be equal or greater than 0. Okay? So, in that case, ayan siya. So, ibig sabihin dito, pag nakuha natin yung domain, we can say that for all values of x na kung saan yung x is an element from -2 hanggang positive infinity, the function is continuous. So again, kapag inaalam lang natin yung largest interval ng pagiging continuous ng isang function, kukunin lang natin yung mismong domain ng function na yun. Again, provided tawag dito, polynomial function, square root function, rational function, absolute value function. Okay? Sunod, next example tayo. Determine the largest interval over which the function h of x is equal to x over x squared minus 1 is continuous. So, yung function natin dito is a rational function. So, again, kukunin lang natin yung domain yan. Paano ulit kinukuha yung domain ng rational function? Yung sa denominator must not be equal to 0. So, if we're going to equate yung denominator natin by 0 or x squared minus 1 is not equal to 0. Okay, solving for x and makukuha natin doon positive 1 and negative 1. So, therefore, h is continuous over all real numbers except for negative 1 and 1. Okay? This will be our last example. So, consider the function f of x. So, it's isang piecewise function. F of x is x if x is less than or equal to 0. F of x is 3 if 0 is less than x is less than or equal to 1. F of x is 3 minus x squared if 1 is less than x is less than or equal to 4. And f of x is x minus 3 if x is greater than 4. So, ang tanong dito, dalawa. Is f or is that function continuous at 0 to 1? Okay? Saka doon sa 4, saka positive infinity. Focus muna tayo doon sa una, 0 to 1. So, kapag 0 to 1 yung interval natin, dyan ang focus natin. Okay? Ngayon, f of x is 3. So, ano yung gagawin natin dyan? Kunin muna natin yung limits, tapos kunin rin natin yung f of x natin. Kung saan, x is from 0 to 1. So, kung mapapansin natin dyan, equal lang silang pareho sa 3. Sir Ben, bakit yung limit ng f of x equal sa 3? Kung natatandaan nyo yung theorems on limits, the limit of a constant as x approaches to any number is the constant itself. So, f of x is 3. So, the limit of 3 as x approaches to any number between 0 and 1. So, that will be 3. Sir Ben, bakit yung f of a is 3? So, wala namang variable yung f of x natin dito. So, therefore, 3 pa rin siya. So, in that case, we can say that f is continuous from 0 to 1. Focus naman tayo dito sa pangalawa, on 4 up to positive infinity. So, in that case, ang focus natin dyan sa function na x minus 3. F or that function is continuous for all values of x from 4 to positive infinity. Sir Ben, bakit agad mong sinabi na continuous siya? Simply because this is a linear function. Okay? So, linear function, quadratic function, cubic function, quartic function, those are polynomial functions. Di ba nga, sabi ko kanina, continuous ang polynomial functions everywhere. Kung may papansin nyo, kung natatandaan nyo kanina, sa slide, yung kulay white, number 1. Polynomial function is continuous everywhere. That is why, na-conclude ko kaagad na yung function na to is continuous for all values of x, wherein x is an element from 4 to positive infinity. Okay? So, sana may natutunan dito sa video na to. And with that, maraming salamat sa pagkikinig and yes, magandang buhay.